Okay, can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Great, let's get started. So welcome everyone to Social Media Productivity. I'm your instructor and host today. I'm Garland Colson, known as Captain Time. And this is very timely because social media is having a big impact on all of our productivity, as you've no doubt noticed. I know, Guy, you would have noticed this having a lot of students, that social media is probably having a big negative impact on their productivity. And social media is just exploding. It's everywhere. It's how we're getting news. I mean, when political unrest is happening, we often hear about it first on social media rather than on the standard news sources that we would usually get. So, it's had a huge impact. It's bigger than news media now. Social media is bigger than traditional news media, which is something that 15, 20 years ago, you just would not have thought could happen, that these upstart technology type little things that are happening on smartphones could be this big or this important in people's lives. And for a lot of us, we just kind of assume that social media is just a big time suck. Instead of families spending time together, everybody's on their tablets or on their phones or doing things. So does it really have any productive uses? Could there be something productive about social media that might redeem it, or that you could actually use it for? So there are a number of productive things you can do on social media. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't use it that way. You can get help and advice. You can tap your network for things. If you have a business or an organization you would like to promote, you can promote it using social media. You can network and connect with people, both for business and for career. If you are selling something or have a business or have an organization, you can connect with prospects or with donors. And you can learn new skills, all of these using social media. So there are a number of productive things you could do on social media. And I love using my social network to ask for help. And this is something that's huge because people will dive in and give me help, like probably within an hour or within a day. I'll probably have at least 5 or 6 people giving me solutions. So if I go into one of my social media groups that I belong to relating to a certain topic, and that topic could be software I'm using, it could be a health issue. If I ask in there, people will give me help. If I have a cooking issue, I will go to my cooking Reddit section and say, okay, guys, I really can't master this. I can't master making gravy. Can you help me make gravy? And somebody will come up with a better recipe, a better YouTube video, or answer my questions. Or if I'm saying, what kind of chef's knife should I get? I'm on a budget. People will help me there. If I have a medical condition, kind of a rare one I suffer from, and I belong to a group for that, people are amazingly helpful. Whenever I get new software, one of the first things I do is I join the Facebook groups or the forums or the communities relating to that particular software. And often the help there is faster and better than what I'm getting from the support people from the software tool itself. So asking for help, it's a great way to use a social network productively. And promoting via social media is huge. There's musicians. Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube. And so this is the kinds of things that can happen. So musicians and artists and entrepreneurs and writers and nonprofits and even big businesses all use social media for marketing, and it's a fraction of the cost of standard types of marketing. Now, I know you can spend a lot of money online in marketing, of course, with social media. You can buy Facebook ads, you can buy Google ads, and those are really expensive. But there's also lots of free ways to promote. It doesn't cost you anything to have a Twitter account or an Instagram account, and with having YouTube, it's like having your own television channel that you have. So it's an amazing way to be able to reach people for free. This is an example. This is my local Facebook group. It's a really local, Spruce Grove, which is a small city just outside of Edmonton where I live. Probably about 37,000 people here. And people are constantly asking for recommendations. So here's someone saying, looking for someone to make a transformer cake for my son's birthday. Any recommendations? And So in this case, of course, they've got a couple of places. Rachel's Cakes is what somebody's suggesting. It looks like somebody got a link wrong. But literally within a few minutes, you will have recommendations on where to fix your car, where to get a cake made, where to find cupcakes, where to find local distributors for Tupperware, like whatever you need, it's there. Where's the best Chinese food in town? Where's the best pizza in town? It's all there. Local events, local politics, local news. Be careful though when you are involved in these groups to make sure you follow their rules about self-promotion, because some of them are quite picky about that. So have a new participant. Welcome, Alexis. We will let you unmute your microphone if you want to ask questions, Alexis. You can go ahead and ask them on your microphone. We have started already, but we will be recording the session, so you'll be able to access it after the fact. So yeah, another great productive way to use social media is to work within local Facebook groups. Business networking, a great way to connect, for people in business, for your career, for promotion, for help, or if you need suppliers. Let's say you need a website done, or you need to get some graphic design done, or some programming or automation, or you're looking for a source for materials. Business networking, online is a great way to use social media productively. Finding prospects, as I mentioned, for marketing. I get a lot of prospects online through social media. It works fantastic, and I'm able to help people, but I also bring many people into my paid programs as well. So I help many people for free online, but some of these people eventually become clients. And learning new skills. I went to social media to learn new skills. I was gifted a couple of sockeye salmon from a local First Nations group when I did a website for them. And I had not cleaned a fish in 20 years. I had no idea. And I'd never cleaned a sockeye salmon because I grew up in Alberta prairie country. So I fished in lakes, not the ocean. Had no idea how to clean a fish. So I went to YouTube, found a video, brought my tablet outside, set it on the picnic table. And the first one was a little dicey, but it worked. The second one got better. And so that's an example of where I learned a new skill. When I was trying to repair my dryer, there was an actual teardown from my model showing me how to fix my dryer or my washing machine. So there's tons of YouTube videos on it. I do some astronomy stuff, and there's lots of great YouTube videos on how to set up your telescope, how to find things in the night sky. So you name it, there's videos and help out there on social media. So that's the productive side, which all sounds fantastic, but some of us, we don't always stay productive on YouTube because there's funny cat videos and other things like that. So how do you keep from going down the rabbit hole? How do you, make social media productive and not make it just be that huge time suck that it can be? So there's two main ways you can use to keep you on track, two very simple ways, and we'll talk about how to implement each of them. First one is purpose, to approach your social media with purpose. And we'll expand on that a bit. The second is to use time blocking. And I'm as a time management coach, I'm continually helping people to set up time blocking, because time blocking has a huge impact on productivity. So let's talk about purpose. So the first thing is why. Why am I in social media? What's my reason to be there? And then only use social media for your purpose during this time. So what this means is, okay, if my purpose in being in social media is to promote my time management coaching business, then that should be my focus. I should be in forums that are going to attract people interested in time management productivity. Things like there is a productivity forum online, there's groups on productivity, there's entrepreneurial groups, there's nonprofit groups. So there's groups, there's online places where they're pulling these people together for me. And so I should work within those groups and focus on that instead of looking for a funny cat video or a puppy video or those kinds of things. And then only use social media for that purpose during that time. So approaching social media with purpose has a big impact. It will greatly improve being productive while you're on social media. Second is time blocking. So have Set times aside for your social media productivity time block. Say, okay, I'm going to spend an hour a day on marketing through social media. It's going to be done during this time, or 30 minutes a day, or whatever it is, or an hour twice a week I'm going to spend for social media productivity. Now, there's nothing wrong with having some fun on social media and scheduling some of the time. If you want to go looking at funny cat videos or those kinds of things, go ahead, but schedule it as a fun social media block. Say, okay, fun social media block's going to be tonight from 8 till 9. So I'm not going to touch social media till 8. I'm going to, do it from 8 till 9, and that's it. And that's my fun. That's my entertainment for the evening. So between 7 and 8, I'm going to work on my productive hobby or do those things I need to do. So having a set time block, keeps it within that time frame, keeps it manageable, keeps it from expanding to take over your entire evening or your entire day. And this is key. Turn off all your social media notifications on these smartphones. Every social media app thinks it's the most important thing that you must be told every time somebody liked a comment or commented or something like that. So instead, just do your social media notifications, read them only during your social media productive time or your fun time. That's it. So turn off all those social media notifications. Take back your smartphone, take back your computer, take back your laptop to make sure that you're not going to continually get notified. Because every time your focus breaks, every time you go, oh, I need to see what that text is, I need to see what that notification is, it takes you 20 minutes or longer to get back to the same level of deep thought you had when you were, before you were interrupted. So essentially, but continually hammering your focus like this, it fogs you. It makes it very difficult to think. It makes it nearly impossible to have the same level of productivity you would have if you were uninterrupted. And some people use apps to lock their social media out during certain times. I don't do that. I just set the times aside when I'm going to be productively working in social media. But if you're having trouble with that, you can set an app to lock you out. Some of them make you fill out little riddles or puzzles before you can get in. So it makes it a little bit hard for you to get to your social media. So you have to really work for it instead of just swiping or something on the screen. So you can certainly look into that if you think it would help for you or for somebody who's suffering from this kind of a problem. For me, I'm disciplined enough to just, only look at my social media during those times. So I don't open Facebook, I don't open YouTube, except when I'm going to be working actively within them. You might want to also consider outsourcing your social media. So if you're doing something like promoting a nonprofit organization or marketing a business or marketing for a large company or whatever you're doing, and social media, you get into it and it just seems to be this rabbit hole you go down that ties you up, consider outsourcing your social media to virtual assistants. I know Karen's a virtual assistant, so that would be an example of something you could pass off to Karen here. So she could write the social media content for you, get your prior approval for it, schedule it all for you, and that saves you having to go in and continually do these things yourself. So it can be a very fast, very efficient way of having these, of working with social media without getting sucked in yourself. You don't want the chief executive officer of your company or executive director of your company having to waste their time in social media. That's something that your marketing people should be doing, or a marketing volunteer should be doing in a nonprofit, for example, or a virtual assistant. So I use some tools to keep productive in social media. I use a free tool called Feedly, which lets me create my own newspaper, create my own online magazine. So every day, instead of going online looking for news, I call up my smartphone and I call up Feedly. And what I do is Feedly gives me articles that are to the topics I'm interested in, such as productivity, such as marketing, such as anything that I'm interested in, my hobbies. I've subscribed to feeds relating to those areas, blogs relating to all those areas. And so every day I get this delivered right to my smartphone, and I can read it during my article reading time that I've set aside. So great tool, works fantastic to be able to control what you read, and put some nice positive voices in there. It's good to do. And incidentally, it's interesting too, because I like to think of myself as not being racist, and I don't think I am, but it was kind of interesting when I looked at all of my YouTube channels and the people I was following and everything else. And I said, okay, Garland, you're not racist, but how many diverse voices are in your feed? Which was kind of a different question. So it's all very well to think you're not racist and to feel, oh, it's all good about yourself about that. It's another thing to seek out the diverse voices, you know, because where I grow up, there were not a lot of Black people, for example. So I don't have Black people in my circle, so I don't have those voices. So I deliberately, when I go on YouTube and I look for new information, so for example, one topic I'm following now is minimalism, which is kind of intriguing me. So I found a couple of people in there who talk about minimalism who are Black. So I follow them deliberately to increase the diversity of my voices. So something to think about is increasing your diversity of your voices on social media, because too often we get in an echo chamber where everybody around us thinks the same way we do, and that's where the conspiracy theories get, you know, you constantly get feedback. Everybody around you believes the same way, but is it real? So you want to get some diverse voices. I use a tool called Phrase Express, which is a text expander. Hard to explain what it does, but lets me in a few keystrokes enter support queries, blocks of text basically is what it does. So I can easily create a whole sales letter for something, or an application for applying for a job, a cover letter, and I could insert that by just typing in maybe something like resume cover. I could type in and then it would automatically drop in my resume cover letter. So a great tool. Now there are tools to automate social media. They do cost money, so you might want to look into them. Some I've used for clients and myself: Trajet, Social Bee, and Buffer. So there's tools out there, and the benefit of automating some of these social media tools is you create the post once and then it can be put out to various social media. So create it once and it goes out to Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, for example. Another benefit is sometimes with Twitter, for example, if I post an article on Twitter, only the people who happen to be on Twitter at that time will see it in their feed because it gets pushed down. So some of these, such as Social Bee and Trajet, let you recycle your content, make it evergreen, and serve it up over and over again, which is another great way of automating. And again, this is something that a virtual assistant could help you with. So. There's Phrase Express. As I said, it automates replies, automates links to URLs, articles, videos. This is what it looks like. And you can just create, like down here, it says if you type the auto text of SIG, it's going to insert a signature. So that's an example of that one. So, social media productivity summary. How do you stay productive? So the first thing is to be purposeful while using your social media. Set time blocks and stick to them. Outsource some aspects of social media to recover time, and use tools to automate some aspects of your social media. So these are the key things. Being purposeful and setting those time blocks would have a huge impact. So questions, comments?
I guess, Garland, my question is regarding Trajet, Social Bee, Buffer. I know we talked about this last time we met last week, but I don't recall if these could be used as plugins on web pages.
Yeah, so some of them can be. Now, so some of it depends on how you know, on how you're using them. But in some cases, let's just come out of here and go to. I'm trying to think of. So if you search for social media plugins for WordPress, you usually end up with two types. One type is really just the like stuff, you know, for the articles and things like that. But there's other ones that have to look for them here. I'm trying to find which one. And again, the problem too is with the nonprofit that it makes it tougher. But yeah, there are some. I'm not using one currently. The one I'm using goes manually where I enter. Social B is one that I'm playing with right now. Trajet is one I'm using for one of my clients, very powerful. So that's why I mentioned those ones. Yeah, I'd have to look for one specifically. I'm trying to remember the names of them. Social media posting. Let's try social media posting plugins. Auto posting, here we go. Revival post, revive, co-scheduled, be another one, next scripts. And again, I haven't tried any of these ones, so I'm not sure. Blog to social, Neelio, social poster. Yeah, so here's some buffer is one that does work that way then. So it does work. So the trick there would be to look at them. And again, whenever, if you're in a nonprofit guy, so definitely always ask these places if they have a nonprofit price, because often it's half price or less for nonprofit organizations. So.
Okay, thank you, Garland.
And that can help a lot because you just post your blog post and automatically then it goes out to your entire social network. So, and many of these will give you tracking. They'll tell you how many people are clicking on them and those kinds of things. So it's quite it can be quite powerful what can be done there.
I have a question, Garland.
Yep.
You had mentioned something about recycling some of the posts. So can you just explain that?
Yeah. So let's say, let's go to Twitter right now. Okay. So here I'm on Twitter, and let's say you were one of the people I was following on Twitter. So these posts are here, but if I come back 3 days from now, your post is way gone, like way down here, right? So I'm never going to see that. So what some of these tools will do is you can take content and you can make it evergreen content. You can say, okay, I would like you to set up a posting schedule where you're going to tweet for me twice a day, and you're just going to take from my existing set of blog posts and you're going to recycle them through and just post them twice a day. So I have a client where we've created hundreds of blog posts for him over the last few years. So most people haven't seen a blog post even from 2 years ago. So a lot of them, we make them to be evergreen, and then that way they continually come up, so they come back up in his feed on a regular basis. And the system, and the one we're using is Trajet, tells us which ones are being clicked on the most. So that helps us also figure out, looks like Trajet's becoming Fan Booster or something. I think they're changing their name. So anyways, I can't get into it right now because I don't want to show my client stuff. But yeah, it lets you automate all this, and it gives you all that tracking and things of what's gone on. So it makes it really easy to be able to see what's worked, what articles are getting the most attention. And there's lots of tools for this, so do some research on them. But you can find out that way what's going on. So yeah, recycling your content makes sense because most people haven't seen your blog post from 2 or 3 years ago.
Thank you.
One of my tricks too, and most of you have probably seen my site at some point, but I have my Captain Time website, and then of course it has a blog on it. And so I try to post blog articles a few times, a month. So the cool thing here is that when I'm in social media, and let's say someone says, well, how can I take better notes on something? And I might go, oh, mind mapping is a great way to take notes. So I can send them a link to my article, or I can post the whole article in. Or someone might say, well, what's a good task management system? And I say, well, I'm really liking ZenKit to do, so here's my review on it. So you see, I'm continually able to use these, and I will decide on new blog posts based upon what I'm finding in these forums. So let's say one of the forums I belong to is the productivity forum in Reddit. So let's find that one here. And you can see how many different forums I'm involved in here. There's like a ton of them, which creates this whole feed of just stuff I'm interested in, which is really quite interesting. Let's go to the productivity forum. Okay, so this person's saying advice on feeling more energized or refreshed. So that could be an interesting blog post idea for me, couldn't it? Like, well, how do you get feeling more energized or refreshed? I could talk about taking a walk at lunch. I could talk about meditating. I could talk about those kinds of things. But I could also say, oh, I don't have an article yet on how to feel more energized or refreshed for productivity. So therefore, that could be a potential article that I want to do. Someone wants an app or service that lets them focus on a few weekly goals and gives them reports. Someone wants to get rid of mental fatigue over time. Someone is wondering about a digital and handwritten notebook. Someone's asking if the laptop might help in their case. Someone's losing focus on goals. My place of employment is extra money to spend before the end of the fiscal year today. What's a creative life-saving work item for remote work that will still be useful when we return to normal? So yeah, so there's, wow, I mean, look at how much information I'm getting here already. So first off, I've got answers for several of these, right? I've got videos that I could send to these people or articles so I can reply to them. And that's positioning me as an expert, not just in front of that person, but in front of hundreds or in some cases, thousands of people who might also read that post. And that was, we found this just in like, here's looking for a to-do list software with task templates. Perfect. I have that Zen Kit to-do review would fit this perfectly. So I can just go ahead and I would just write something along the lines of, the one I use is, you know, I'm a time management coach. And the one I use is, you know, and so I can just start typing there, and I suddenly, you know, will see all these different people, hundreds of people would have done this, and there's 502,000 members in this group. Currently, 597 are online right now, members of this group. So that's just one group, and you've all seen Facebook groups too, I assume at some point, unless you're hiding from social media, which I totally get. But there's Facebook groups on pretty well every possible topic as well. So I belong to Facebook groups for virtual assistants. I belong to Facebook groups in productivity. I have a little side business where I make artwork out of driftwood. And so this is interesting. So this is an Edmonton area vendor opportunities. So these are upcoming shows that I could, you know, if I wanted a Christmas show or something, I could show my artwork at. So there's groups for everything on here. You just have to look for it. If you've got a medical condition, if you're suffering from cancer or someone, you know, or someone in your family is, and you're not sure how to deal with it, someone suffering from MS, there will be a group in Facebook or a group in Reddit to join, and really awesome, helpful people who will help you through this and give you ideas, give you resources. The cooking group is amazing on Reddit. Like you know, there's tons of things going on there. So yeah, the social media, there's so many ways it can be productive rather than just watching funny cat videos or going down the rabbit hole. So. Any other questions? So Alexis, you came in late. If you want to ask a question, go ahead. We will be recording this, so you will have access to it after as well. So what are you guys' struggles with social media right now?
Myself, I believe that the time blocking, it's kind of easier said than done in my book. I do it, and then for a week, and I'm like, okay, and then next week it seems to fall apart. So I think I just need a little more discipline in that aspect, and just, you know, yeah, it's the discipline, I believe, or the consistency of getting used to that. And I think that's all about working from home.
Yeah, and that's the habit too, you know, which makes it difficult in some cases when you're doing this. One of my clients, who's a lovely woman, loved to chat with people, but she had she was within a certain ethnic community that she was doing podcasting and stuff. And so, but she would get these calls from people who were just kind of happy to talk to someone from the old country, right? And so sometimes these calls would go on a long time. So I had her do up a yellow sticky and put it on her monitor that said, "Who's paying for this time right now?" So that's a good way to think about it. Like, is this my time block? Is this what I'm supposed to be working on right now? And I did do, if you look on my YouTube channel as well, there is a time blocking that I threw together. And time blocking, you can set a timer is one part of it, you know, to make sure that you're not going over. But if we go here to my templates, so this is just a little tool I'd set up where you could, you know, say Monday through Friday, I broke it down by an hour each. And I thought, okay, what are you working on during each 1 hour time block? And so you could say, okay, well, I'm going to do marketing for, 2 hours Wednesday morning. I'm going to do human resources and training on Tuesday. So having set time blocks helps because you're always continually working within a certain topic, a certain area. And that way you're not letting other things override it. And it's hard to shift. Like you could have a chime go at the beginning, at the top of every hour, like ding, it's time to move. But what I find is by doing this, all of the areas of my business get attention. So one example is I'm self-employed. I don't get a paycheck ever. And I haven't in over 20 years. So that means if I'm not marketing every week, my projects dry up, my income drops. So I have set aside, in my case, about 30% of my week for marketing. So, and I have set blocks of time for marketing. I also develop a lot of new content. So I'm doing that. I'm developing some new products. So I have time set aside for product development. So I have time set aside every week for that. I'm running a virtual assistant mentorship program that Karen's part of. So every week so my goal is to provide new content every week for that. Now I committed to providing new content every month, but I want to do better. So the commitment's for new content every month, but I want to get new stuff up every week for it. So every week I have a certain amount of hours set aside to create new content. So without that dedicated time set aside, it's so easy to let any one thing in business or in your work can probably expand to suck all the time up and leave nothing left for the other things. So I find this works very well. Sometimes it's hard to break at the end. Like I'm just getting, I have some writing and publishing time, and you just feels like you get in the zone. So you go, oh, I don't want to leave. So that makes it tough. And in some cases you can make an executive decision to take an extra hour, but then you got to say, where's that coming from? What am I taking it from? Or if you know that happens regularly, maybe set a 2 hour time block aside instead of say a 30-minute or a 1 hour time block. Because if you know that the writing gets you in the zone, say, okay, I'm going to write Tuesday and Thursday afternoons from 1 till 5. I'm going to do nothing but writing. Now, it's nice too when you've done those time block ideas because you already know what you're going to work on during that time. And all of your other stuff you can ignore. So it helps you focus because all the other stuff is normally clamoring for your attention. You say, well, no, it's currently writing time, so that's all I'm going to be doing.
So let me ask you a question, Garland, is regarding this. I think without using adequate time blocking like this, that if people who are in business get so heavily involved in social media that it can be overwhelming and it can lead to burnout.
Well, yeah, burning out is really easy. And one of the ideas of shifting between your various roles, it does help prevent burnout because you're not also, have you ever had a point where you're hitting your head against a brick wall in something and no matter what you do, you just can't get through it? So the benefit of time block shifting is that you're working on something different. So it gives your mental back burner a chance to work, gives you a break. And the funny thing is when you take that break or do other things, often the solutions will come to you. I had a case one time where I had a horrible problem, a very highly technical problem for hosting that I was hosting for some of my clients. I should not have been hosting. I didn't have the technical knowledge. This is a case where I should have outsourced this to somebody who knew what they're doing. But I'd been hitting my head against a brick wall on a Friday afternoon, and finally I just gave up. I couldn't do anymore. So I started cleaning, which doesn't sound like a break, but it was a mental break because cleaning is something I can do and I can crank the tunes and clean, right? And after about an hour of cleaning, the mistake I was making in the hosting suddenly came to me, just bang. Oh, that's it. And then I went and solved it in 5 minutes once I knew it. So yeah, burnout's a real problem here. The other thing is that key critical parts of your business or your organization are being neglected. So one example, I'll use one common example that's most people mess up is performance reviews. So in most organizations, you have to do performance reviews of your staff, your volunteers or something. And usually what happens is your manager, it's like, oh crap, guys, performance reviews due next week. I have to write something up instead of being every week of the whole year that guy's been working. I could have been saying, okay, well, how's Guy doing this week? Or where's he needs coaching? Or what training does he need? What is our plan for Guy's career future? What courses can we get him? If that was being done every week, the performance review would be easy because we'd just be sitting down and chatting about, well, how would this year go? How'd you like these courses? What would you like to do next year? Like, it becomes simple. But because we don't have dedicated time for that human resources and training and performance review section, then that falls through the cracks in almost every organization I've been a part of. So.
Okay, thank you, Garland.
What I'm seeing here too is, you obviously have to make time to develop your plan, but maybe being, it's important to be specific. So I just like used to have like the email, breaking it down to product development, email, marketing. I think I would group that together, and then I just forget. And I think the smaller time blocks of breaking it down. Okay, this is time to for marketing or developing skills, or I think that's probably a very key.
It would be very key. You can also set a timer. I often use a timer on my smartphone to work in 30-minute blocks and then take a short 5-minute stretch break and then do it again. It's often called the Pomodoro technique. But it helps to do it in blocks like that. So the blocks don't have to be an hour. This was an example I put together for people that could use as a template. I don't ever usually work for an hour on email and admin ever. And also my other trick too with time blocking is I put the hardest, most difficult category first thing in the morning. So email admin, to be honest, I would never do here because I glance at my email first thing in the morning just to see if there's anything urgent. But in my case, I would far prefer to do something difficult first thing in the morning and do email and admin first thing in the afternoon. Because email's easy. Like admin work's usually easy. I want to keep my first thing in the morning brain, which is at its best and brightest, for the hardest thing to do. So I plan all my time blocks around that. So, and some of these things come easy for me, like writing articles for myself. It's kind of easy for me. Coming up with new workshops is kind of easy for me. So I would do those in the afternoon. Coaching, I love coaching. I'm a natural teacher. So I would do that in the afternoon. But if I had to come up with say a written business plan for a highly complex product for a client that I'm not that connected to, that would be first thing in the morning because I need to be at my best and most brilliant. If I'm doing a heavy budget for a client, crunching numbers, spreadsheets, that would be a first thing in the morning for me as well. You notice I threw in time for planning as well, right? So, on Friday afternoon. So the idea is if you come in and any of these blocks, you should never have to ever decide what are you doing next. You come in, oh, it's product development time. What's my list of tasks under my product development area? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in priority sequence. So I'm never deciding what to do. I never ever have to look at my list and say what's on the go today. Instead, I would go directly to there. So one example, and I mentioned I'm using a tool called ZenKit to do, and I'll give you a quick peek at my ZenKit. But for example, with ZenKit to do, I can go to content. So if it's my content development time, here's a list of all the different content things I'm going to write in priority sequence. If I'm going to let's see, I'm not sure what a good example is here. Publishing, then I would put in here, in priority sequence, I would have what am I going to do for publishing? What am I going to do next for my VA mentors? So these are the next tasks that I'm going to do for my VA Mentors project. So I just start on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can set due dates for these as well. If I click on today, it'll show all my due dates across all the projects, the ones that are due today. But if I'm working on that time block, then I just go ahead and I start here. So today for VA Mentors, I've checked my comments on all their tasks in Notion. I'm going to order a VA Mentors business card because I don't currently have my current business cards, just got my cap and time. And I want to do a pilot project write-up to do VA Mentors for disabled groups and for First Nations groups. So I want to do a pilot project write-up so I can approach some groups about that. And so that's where I would, the order that I would do these things in, and they're already set up in priority sequence. If I think the sequence should be changed, I can just drag one of these and go like that. So I never have to ever decide what I'm doing next. So during my planning phase for any project, I would do this first. So the time blocking is huge. So social media for me normally falls under marketing. So I would have a marketing time when I'm going to work with Facebook groups. So and so my marketing would look like, reviewing the Facebook groups, see if people need help, being active in those groups, sending them help, sending them links to my resources, creating prospects that way, pulling them into my sales funnel. That's the kind of stuff that would be done using social media.
Garland, where did you design this template? So I like the aspect where you just have the drop downs, because then you're not each week kind of reinventing the wheel. You're looking at it and saying, wait a minute, I need to like reschedule some things here.
Yeah, this is called Notion.
Notion, okay.
Yeah, if you're familiar with it. And I will also send you the link to the Notion template.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, Notion's a great tool. So Notion is really works with tables, but it's kind of a combination of database meets wiki. I use it for prototyping lots of new products and new ideas, and it's great because you can build almost whatever you want in it, and you can filter it however you want. And so this particular, I was pleased with how this turned out, because this is quite an easy way to be able to, to work with this kind of stuff. So. And you can change these to be whatever you want. So I just created what I thought was kind of a general for somebody who might be say a manager in an organization. You notice I've even got break and exercise, at the lunchtime and stuff like that. But, you could easily set this up. If you had 3 client projects, you could go client 1, client 2, client 3, give them their time blocks, and then you could have marketing for yourself, that kind of stuff. So, any other questions? Hope you found it useful, Alexis. Didn't hear from you, but feel free to unmute if you want to ask questions. So.
All sounds good. Thank you very much, Garland.
Good. I hope that helped.
It did.
Yes, thank you very much.
In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing a session for students on student productivity and learning tips and that kind of thing. So if any of you are working with students, and I know Guy is, keep an eye out for when that comes out, and it'll be a free webinar that you can direct them to. So.
Well, great. Thank you.
And what webinars would you guys like to see? Are you speaking there? I think you. Yeah, what topics would you guys like to see? I mean, I picked these off the top of my head, so.
Right now, I can't answer that. I'm sorry to say. I just, like I said, I enjoy spending so much time in VA mentors, and so absorbing this is of everything that you have to offer. It's a tremendous, opportunity, and I love the VA mentor.
Great. Well, with that lead in, I'll mention a few more of my tools. So these are some of my resources that I've got for people. I have a book on Amazon called Stop Wasting Time. I have an online course called Time Management Step by Step, which you already have access to because it's in VA Mentors as well, Karen. I have VA Mentors, and I do one-on-one coaching. So my Stop Wasting Time is an Amazon bestseller. It's Stop Wasting Time and Procrastination in 5 weeks. So you can read through that, and hopefully if you know somebody who's procrastinating, this could be a good gift for coming up. So I have the Time Management Step by Step, which is a brain dump of everything I know about time management in over 90 training videos. And in the email that I send out with the recording for this session, I will have a link that will give you $45 off this course. And as I said, Karen, in your case, it's already part of the VA Mentors program, so you don't need to sign up for this one as well. VAmentors.com is meant to be a mentorship group for virtual assistants. It's got over 160 training videos and checklists with new videos every month. So if you know of anybody who might want to work online, doing any kind of help for people, this is a great way to get started. If you are connected to any Any groups that you think might benefit from this, like First Nations groups or disabled, especially where you think employment is difficult for people, connect them with me. I'm looking to run some pilot programs to help with that. And we don't just give them the lessons in VA Mentors, we provide them with help and feedback. So we can give them feedback on their website, their proposals, their, should they even bid on a project or not? So we can give them all that kind of feedback. And I do one-on-one coaching, very similar to this, except to be just one-on-one. And you can ask whatever questions you want. And I have a program with COVID where I'm offering $75 off one-on-one coaching during the pandemic. And I'll send you all a link to that as well if you need some more in-depth one-on-one coaching. And of course, you can always find out more things at my website at captaintime.com.
Okay, I just thought of another idea for a webinar. I don't know if this is really relevant for you, but a lot of people get caught up in social media, Garland, but a lot of the stuff that they are reading is fake or junk or created by spam bots and all sorts of stuff. So maybe there's a way to have people become more aware, critically aware of what content they are reading in social media. Because a lot of it can be so misleading and outright lies. So I think there's certain techniques and tips that people can learn to use to avoid getting.
There are some techniques, but my goodness, it's such a big, daunting. I mean, I could certainly come up with something, and I probably will on it, but it's so daunting to do this with social media. I did find one kind of interesting tool. Let's see, what's something we might search for on.
Because otherwise it could be the big time waster and people are reading junk and they don't know it.
So this is kind of interesting here because, so this is an example of something called, this is Amazon. So this is a MOVA Globe, which are beautiful. I love them. I'm thinking of getting one for myself. And you see it's got 143 ratings. The problem on Amazon right now is a lot of these ratings are fake, much like as in Twitter, these tweet bots are happening. So I found a plugin called FakeSpot that will actually go out and analyze it. So it's kind of interesting. So let me just do a quick search here and we'll see what we can come up with for, what might it be? Let's go camera case, because that's something I searched for. Any of you who are into photography will understand that the camera case addiction most of us have. So here's the reviews on some camera cases here, but you'll notice that there's some blue reviews and some yellow reviews. The yellow ones are the standard Amazon ones. The blue ones are ones that have been recently tested with that FakeSpot. So here's an example of this one still has a good rating, 4.6 out of 5, but look down here. This one's got a rating 4.6 out of 5 yellow, like on Amazon, but FakeSpot is only giving it a 1.5, which means it failed this. So Amazon Basics is cheating and using fake reviews. So, and that's bad when Amazon Basics is doing this. So that's an example. And I don't know if FakeSpot's perfect, but what it says is it goes through and it does an analysis and it gives it a D, on a report card. So now I could reanalyze it again because that was an older analysis. So we need something like this for Facebook, right? Like, how do you tell when it's fake news? And it's bad enough when the leader of some country who will not be mentioned regularly posts things that are that would get anybody else banned from Twitter for fact checking, right? If it was fact checked. And so that's horrible when people in very high offices in the land can make horrible unsubstantiated claims and not be shut down in social media for it. And I don't get me wrong. I mean, I think Facebook is trying, but it was never Facebook's central focus to be able to look at this, right? So if we search Facebook for politics, okay, let's go CNN politics. Let's try at least to choose a media source, right? But yeah, how would you tell if any of these were proper and that kind of thing, or if they're fake news and they're not you know, there are many cases they're not fact checked, right? How do we tell? And anybody can post anything, you know, and we get, you know, climate change is a hoax thing. We get, we never traveled to the moon. You know, we get continual things on Facebook. How do you do this? But part of that is, I mentioned I use Feedly to subscribe to the people that I'm interested in. The other thing you can do is the same thing on YouTube is, so these are some of the people I follow on YouTube. So I deliberately follow people, and this is kind of embarrassing to let my own little hobbies out there sometimes. Like, oh, I don't know if I want to show people my entire reading list. But for example, Adam Savage, he was the guy from Mythbusters. So I know his stuff is fun and scientific and building things, and that's fun. CBC News, I follow The Economist. And some of this is not stuff I've subscribed to, but it's served up. I listen to a lot of music stuff. So I will often, if I see let's see if I can find one here. If I see one here that is totally not something I want, then you can somewhat block it. But the annoying thing even here is, let's say, okay, let me find one that I don't want here. I kind of like most of these. Need to find one that okay, maybe the Dick Cavett Show. I don't really need this one. So I can get rid of the Dick Cavett Show entirely by going don't recommend channel, which helps. But if I just go not interested, let's say if I'm not interested in that, although I'm interested in that particular one, let's find one I'm not interested in. Okay, let's go not interested. It's not interested, but it will still show me that same video. I've tried this every time. I still get that same video back every time. And even if I go tell us why, and I go, I've already watched it. So now that YouTube knows I've already watched it, but they keep serving it back to me over and over and over again. So it's really frustrating when you do that. You know, not that religious beliefs are a big thing. I'm an atheist, so you've probably seen a few atheist things here. But the funny thing is I get tons of religious stuff on my channel. And you'd think if I'm showing I'm interested in the atheist stuff, that you'd think it would understand not to show me all the religious church services, right? Like, so the algorithms are not that good. They certainly haven't learned that well for me. And it's frustrating because I can somewhat control this by choosing who I follow up with, but I can't totally control what's in this feed. And sometimes there could be really offensive stuff in this feed. I mean, here I am showing this stuff live. I could end up with something here that I would totally disagree with that would show in the feed, and you go, oh, why does Garland agree with that? So that could be another.
So in other words, you're basically wasting your time, right? Trying to do that, huh?
Yeah, well, you your time trying to mark them and say not interested. You can somewhat help by going don't recommend channel. It does help because the channel does show up less, but it does let me create, for the most part, you see a lot of these feeds are stuff I know. I'm a sci-fi fan, obviously. I'm an ABBA fan, yes, judge me. I'm a minimalist. I like to follow the minimalist things. And again, not all these are ones that come up. I get a lot of telescope stuff come up because I search for that. I like weird creative slime and epoxy resin experiments. Those sound fun to me. So, you know, it's very hard to get just what I want. Feedly is better because Feedly lets me just choose exactly what I want to, you know, only the ones I want to follow. So I'm still not going to like every article, but it's going to at least be articles I've chosen. And if over time the articles get bad, then I don't need to see it. I don't read these here. I find the interface on the tablet and the phone is a lot better. Like you can see on the phone there, like it's showing me the pictures and the articles, and I can scroll through them and I can mark them as read really easily. So yeah, I find that the Feedly works better. But yeah, how do you do this? How do you stop it? It's really a very good point. You know, with Facebook and everything else. I mean, I don't want to show my Facebook feed because some of these people, you know, there might be privacy issues, but I have people in my Facebook feed, say in the local Spruce Grove chat, you know, the Spruce Grove local chat is an awesome place. Okay. I really like this group. There's great posts here, lots of things going on. And, but there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with, you know, it's, someone wants seed garlic, someone wants, dill, someone's, so there's lots of fun stuff in here, but pay for a prescription. But occasionally I get the politic crap in here too, right? That's not fun. So with social media, yeah, you just can't stop it entirely, but it's hard to know. The other problem too is if you search for something such as, say, flat Earth. Let's choose flat Earth. That's a good one. I was going to go anti-vaxxers, but that's more, more of a problem. So maybe you're just genuinely curious, like, what's this about the flat Earth? Why do people believe in it and stuff like that? And you start searching, and the next thing you know, a lot of the stuff being served up to you is there are blogs out there about flat Earth, and eventually you start getting those, and suddenly you're in an echo chamber where everybody's saying the same thing you are. And especially on Facebook, if you are a member of a certain religion, all your family, friends, people you connect with, people you follow online because they're also the same religion, you're going to, that's an echo chamber. That's one of the reasons why indoctrination works so well, because people are not getting alternative viewpoints. So, and how do we keep from creating our own echo chamber? We need to diversify our information, but sometimes it's hard. Now, Google, again, is doing a better job too. Google is trying to get rid of some of the stuff that, it used to be when you search for this stuff that you would get a lot of the anti-vaxxer stuff and the flat Earth stuff. So it is getting better, but it's still really difficult I know there's so many people hitting me with, this didn't happen, this isn't real. And even the media looks at things. For example, if there were 100 protesters that were, calmly standing there, and there's one guy who's breaking a window or rattling a fence, the media focuses on one. So yeah, it's tough, but yeah, it's a good idea for a webinar. I'm not sure how we can solve the problem entirely. Any other questions?
Well, no more questions. Again, Garland.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you all next time. When I do send out the video, please, like it and subscribe on YouTube, because it helps. I'll get, when I get more people subscribing or get the likes, it helps show people that the content is liked. So.
Thank you, Garland.
Okay, see you all next time, and I'll send out the recording in a couple of days.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye, Garland.
Bye-bye.